When I look at what happened outside at the Christmas tree lighting ceremony in New York City last night, to me, that's intimidation. It's harassment. I mean, can you imagine? I used to walk out of the store. Let me show you what was going on. So they were lighting the tree there at Rockefeller. They had one right outside Fox. And this was the door I used to go in and out of every single day and night. And I wouldn't have liked this. I wouldn't have felt very good about seeing this, guys. Wow. Okay. You know what that means, what they were chanting. It's basically genocide. And that was right outside Fox News headquarters. So again, I would have been there. It would have been the time that my show used to get off. By the way, if you just found me over here, remember, subscribe. My producers are telling me, remember to say that, because I always forget. We just start talking and we go on our mission and on our tangents. But I just remember walking in and out of that building. It would have been right around, 9 o'clock when I would get off my show. And yeah, that would have felt really intimidating. And then there's additional video where there's some altercations with the police. There's additional video where there's some real symbols of hate that they held up. I don't even want to talk about it and I don't want to show it. And but it's there. And the point is, there's a difference, right, between that kind of vitriol and the fear factor that goes into that versus what Elon is trying to talk about, which is that you need to have a space for a lot of different opinion, a lot of different reaction. You need that diversity of thought, if you would. It's just remarkable to see how quickly we are descending. And I really mean that, descending. We've had all kinds of challenges as an economy. There are new numbers out today that suggest the economy is suffering some more. We've got some sales numbers that show that, things are cooling off, and maybe that's what the Fed intended. I know that's what the Fed intended because it's trying to reduce inflation. Reminder, if you're worried about inflation, Legacy Precious Metals is the place to go. They've been our sponsor from the very beginning on this show. We love them over there. Charles Thorngren, he's going to be on the show next week. We're looking forward to that. He's the CEO of the company. But again, this is something that I think is front and center on everybody's mind, because you're looking at the economic crisis, you're looking at the border crisis, you're looking at the international crisis and saying, how can this be? I do want to just say something very briefly about Henry Kissinger, who has passed away. 100 years old. He made it to the big 100. And I can tell you just a personal story. When I was a student at Columbia in New York City, I was living at something called International House in New York. I had no money at all. Really. I was working, I was in school, I was paying my own way. And I remember I could afford a room at International House. I couldn't afford the room with the sink, because that was an extra $50. But I could afford a room, and it was a teeny tiny little room, and it was a neat place. It was a neat place to live. It's way up by Columbia there in Manhattan and on Riverside Drive. Neat building, and they had a lot of neat activities because they had a pretty impressive board, of which I believe Kissinger was one of the board members. Well, one night he came and he spoke to a group of us, maybe 20 of us showed up for that. And I remember thinking, this is amazing. This man who has such a wealth of knowledge, and it comes from the real politics school, as they call it in international relations, right? Political science, that realism school, of which I certainly just subscribe to. And I suspect you do too, if you're watching this channel. I just thought, wow, he's spending time with us here, just some kids, basically, a bunch of students. This would have been back in 1997 or 1998. And it meant a lot to me. And I, over the years have seen many of his interviews, have had many friends that have worked very, very closely with him. One of my dear friends was one of his mentees. And I just think that, it's the passing of a legend. And it's frightening how much the world has changed since he was really at the height of his influence. We need more realism. We need to understand that there are enemies out there. And if we're not careful, they will have an impact that will significantly lessen our quality of life. So, Henry Kissinger, rest in peace. Thank you for talking to me that many eons ago. And thank you for all your work you've done over the years. And I would remind everybody to go back, look at his work. to look at some of his interviews. My gosh, just a few days ago, he was saying that, you got to be very careful with immigration and how groups integrate in society, because if you can't integrate and kind of take the best of everyone, right, and emerge as something stronger and better, then you really shouldn't be bringing people in the first place. And this is coming from somebody who had to escape Germany, right, in World War II. But he was alluding to the challenges, of course, that Germany has had, bringing in so many Syrians, or you think about Sweden, et cetera. And again, going back to realism, like, let's just be realists here, cut to the chase. Don't be selfish about it. Don't think that just because you are so nice and so liberal, that your niceness is going to actually change the world in a way that is so fundamentally different. Have some respect, frankly, really, for whatever has been ingrained in a different society, that you can't just with the flip of a switch change them overnight. It's not how it works. Kissinger got that. Realists get that. It's a form of conceit, frankly, if you ask me, with these liberals that think that, you just kill him with kindness and just give him more handouts and then everybody's happy and you don't have any problems anymore. No, it's much, much bigger than that. Much bigger than that. Anyway, may Kissinger rest in peace. May this world find a better place.